Hello, this is John with Anthem Business Solutions, and today we're going to go over permission settings. So permissions is where you tell the system that a staff member can or can't do something. For example, are they allowed to do voids? Are they allowed to do discounts, etc., etc. For this, you have to go to the admin portal, which is hrpos.heartland.us, and then go to the menu icon here at the top left, then go to location setup, and then here in permission. So here, if you don't have any set up ever before, then it'll give you the option here in the middle to add new or create. Otherwise, the add new will be up here at the top right. And as you can see, I've already got several already in here. And just a little disclaimer: these aren't like set in stone. You don't have to take my opinions or anything for these. I don't even remember if I ever really went through these, to be honest with you. I usually go through these with every single merchant and make sure they understand that they need to go through them and have all the ones on that they want on and all the ones off that they want off. But these are just kind of default where I start out with them. So I'm not going to add a new one because I've got so many on here already. So I'm just going to go over like a cashier. I'm just going to do a scenario that we're modifying this cashier permission. So when you go in, you obviously have a name. You gotta add first. And then you have an option for admin. So admin is basically going to check every single box for you. So it's going to turn everything on. And if you see here, it's quite a bit of stuff. So I usually only do that for owners and or managers, but even managers, I usually have a few options that aren't on for managers. Like I said, it's up to you and your establishment. The next one we have all discounts. And I want to put emphasis on all. Because you have the option to turn on all discounts. Yes, this cashier can do all discounts. You put a checkbox there. And when you put a checkbox there, you notice it gets rid of this allowed discounts section. Because you can either do all, or you can select one or two, or none at all. You can leave that blank if you don't want them doing any discounts. Now in this scenario, I'm going to say I'm okay with them doing senior discounts and I'm okay with them doing the free drink promo. Which, by the way, if you need help adding or creating discounts or promotions, please see my other videos for that. We'll go ahead and leave those two there. And then we have the next option is kind of the same thing, but it has to do with adjustments. And now, just a reminder what the difference is between discounts and adjustments. Discounts in Heartland terminology is only when you're discounting an individual item. And then adjustments is when you're modifying the whole ticket. Really, adjustments isn't just discounts. It's also, if you notice, gratuity is in here too. So it will be service charges or service fees, along with meal comps or discounts. But it affects the whole ticket versus discount is just the item. So it's kind of the same question. Do you want them to be able to do all adjustments or just some? And I'll do the same thing. I'll just say I'm okay with the senior discount, but open dollar and open percent just gives them too much freedom. Do that one. And a lot of places I notice want managers to only do the gratuity, so I'll use that in this scenario as well. That alone. Then we have apply loyalty rewards. So if you're using the loyalty rewards, do you want them to be able to apply that, or do you want that to be a manager function? And then we have void orders. And before I forget, anytime you see these question mark icons, this allows you to hover your mouse or stylus over it and gives you a description for that particular field. And we also have these eyeball icons here, and these are shortcuts. So this would take me to the discounts category, but it would not only just take me to discounts, but it would take me to the discount called senior discount. And of course we have the trash can, which is the universal symbol for delete. All right, so we have this one. Do we want them to be able to void the order or the ticket rather? So it's voiding or canceling the ticket. Then we have house account. Can they charge a bill to a house account or custom tender? Some people want managers only to do this, and others are okay with cashiers. I'm going to go on and let my cashiers do it. Do I want them to be able to remove items from an order? Now keep in mind, this is actually technically like voiding an item, because this is after the item's already been sent or paid for. That's what this remove item is. The one that is like you're ringing up the sale and you accidentally press the wrong button and immediately remove it, that's further down. We'll get to that one in a minute. This one is it's already been sent or paid for. Do we want to remove the item? And then time punch management. Do we want them to be able to access the area that allows them to edit time punches? Usually a big fat no for cashiers. And then do we want them to be able to access devices? So manage POS devices. This has to do with pretty much any peripheral other than printers. So this will be like scanners, scales, customer displays, even the payment devices. Printers will be the next one. Now, I do advise maybe leaving this one alone. Don't give too many people access to printers. In my opinion, the printers and how things print is the most difficult thing to learn in Heartland. It's also one of the easiest things to screw up in Heartland. So I usually only give access to like maybe the owner on this one and try to leave everybody else to no, you don't need access to this. Call support if you need help. But again, it's your system. You can do whatever you want to on this. Then we have, do you want them to be able to change the auto logout process? You want them to be able to access the daily close. So obviously, cashiers, probably not, unless you don't have closing managers and you just have cashiers or a head waiter or head bartender that closes. And maybe you want to give them access to that. And this is just the daily close section, kind of an area that's kind of like a task list or checklist of things to do before you leave kind of thing. Do you want them to be able to see closed groups? So a closed group is, let's say for example, you have a lunch menu and you have it set to where the lunch menu only appears on the point of sale Monday through Friday from 11 to 2. Well, if it's outside of that time frame, then that lunch menu is considered to be a closed group. So what that means is if you check this, then then anybody assigned a cashier permission will be able to see that lunch menu at all times, whether it's in the time frame or not in the time frame. I usually turn this on for like managers and owners, but not usually for cashiers, because that's kind of the point of having the closed group, is so that cashiers don't go ringing something up when it's not the time frame. Excuse me. Next one is void transactions. So this has to do with which is voiding the payment. And then this one here has to do with refunds. Are they able to do refunds? Which I also have a separate video on if you need to check out how to do refunds. But that is in the info screen. It's basically a negative transaction. And then we have, can they move items? This is moving items from one ticket to another. So this is pretty common in table service, because sometimes you have someone that pulled up the wrong ticket and added an item to the wrong ticket, and you just need to move it. So instead of deleting or voiding the item and having that show up as a void, you can move it to a different ticket. Then we have reprint receipts. Do we want them to be able to reprint receipts? Most cases, that's yes. There are some scenarios where people want that off. Then we have modify server. So this is basically you're reassigning the ticket to a different server. Again, this is something that is pretty common in table service, although there are times in cashier environments where you need to do this too, especially if you're using like a generic login for everybody to use, and say somebody comes up and signs out of that generic login, and they clock in with their number, and then they forget to clock right, or they forget to sign out even though they just signed in as they clocked in. And then someone else comes up and thinks that they're still signed in as a generic user and starts ringing up items under their code. So if that happens, you can go and reassign those tickets to the correct generic user instead of that one. We have modified table. Again, more of a table service environment thing here. But yeah, if you ring up a ticket on the wrong table, or the guest decided after they started the ticket, they decided they wanted to change tables, then you have a way to transfer in the table. Then this one here is to show expected cash. So this has to do with the checkout report that prints out when you do a balance report or server cashier checkout report. Typically, you leave this off for cashiers and servers. The danger you have leaving it on is, so if I leave this checked to where they can see it, now my cashier can go in and start their checkout report and see that they can see what cash is expected in the drawer. So as they're counting it down and they count it and they say, oh, it says I'm only supposed to have $350 in there, but I've got $370. I'm $20 over. Well, if they know that, they can pocket the cash. They can pocket that $20, and they're technically not going to be short in their drawer. They're going to be okay. But that's $20 that should have gone to the store. So typically I leave that off. I only have it to where managers and owners see it. But like I said, it's up to you. Everybody has different scenarios and different reasons. Next is the edit item stock. So this is whether or not you want this staff member to be able to 86 an item or edit the stock availability. Sometimes some places want that only managers only. Then we have online ordering. This allows access to change the prep time or availability for online ordering within the app. This is the feature up at the top of the iPad. You can change the lead time or the availability time, or the prep time rather, or availability of online ordering. You want cashiers and servers to be able to do that, or do you just want managers to do it? In this one, we have force offline mode. So there is a feature in Heartland called Store and Forward that allows you to process cards while in offline mode, and that kicks on automatically if you have Heartland processing. That will kick on automatically in the event that you lose internet connection. Now there are some other scenarios where you need to force offline mode, even though you still have internet or not. So this would allow you to go into the settings and force the offline mode. And this one here is force send order. This, I believe, has more to do with like bar environments where you're doing bar tabs and you're running the card again for second auth. It fails. You still want it to send the order, or do you want it to wait? And this one here is assign pins in cards. So if you're using manager cards, do you want them to be able to assign cards? And do you want them to be able to assign pins? Now that's not taking away the ability for them to do that for themselves. Like they can still go in and sign in and change their own pin. This is only if they're changing it for other staff members. And then we have kitchen reprints. Can they do kitchen reprints? There are some concerns with this, which is why there's an option in here, so that they don't. You can so the server or the cashier can actually make it seem like there's an order to the kitchen by reprinting an order, even though there isn't. And they can try to ask the customer for payment on that, which if they reprint the guest check, they can, even though the new transaction never happened. but the customer doesn't see it that way. The customer just sees that they asked for a hamburger and they got a hamburger made, and they were asked to pay for the hamburger. That's why these settings are in here. So there's that one, and enable training mode. So there is training mode on the iPads. It is dangerous because if you leave training mode on and accidentally leave it on and try to run what you think are real transactions, it's not saving those. So you have to be careful with training mode. So that one I usually encourage just managers and owners that have that on. You want them to be able to do a tax exempt? Yes or no? Usually that's a yes. Miscellaneous items. So you can add open items or miscellaneous items to the system. Do you want them to be able to use those, or you just want managers to do it? I think I would just want managers to do it. That way no funny business is going on there. Manage tip pools. Do you want to allow access to distribute tips from the tip pool to other staff members? The manager function. Manual tip outs. Do you want to allow them to do tip outs on any custom amount outside of the configured tip out types? Usually that's a manager function only. Unscheduled clock in. So you can do a thing called scheduled shifts in here, which you don't know what that is. I've got another video on that as well. And you can, when you're creating the schedule, you can force the system to where it will not allow people to clock in unless it is their scheduled time to work. And then you can also set a grace period too. But this would be if you want them to clock in early, but it's not their scheduled time, and you as the manager need them to clock in early, then you can override it. This one. And then split checks. Are they allowed to split checks? This is common in table service, not so much in cashier environments. And then, which it doesn't hurt anything to have it on for cashiers. I suppose there could be some scenarios where you need it. I just leave it on. Doesn't hurt anything. Transfer credit card. So this doesn't actually work. I know it's in here and it has to do a credit card token, but this no longer works. This, I believe, was when they used to have the credit cards integrated in with the terminal instead of having a separate payment device like a PIN pad. So this actually doesn't work anymore. At least to the best of my knowledge. I could be wrong on that, but it doesn't work for me. And last time I asked Heartland about it, they said it didn't work anymore. And then this last one here is discard order changes. And this is what I was referring to kind of at the beginning of the video. This is when you go into the ticket, you start a new ticket, you're ringing in the wrong items, you need to remove the item or even back out of the whole order. That would be considered a discard order changes instead of a void. And then the last one on here is the assigned staff members. So you can choose in the list who gets assigned to it. And then once you're done with that, then you hit the save button here. Make sure you get your save successful. Close out of that, and then the publish changes up here at the top. Make sure you get your successful down here as well. Alright, but that's all there is to it. I hope this video was helpful. That's all I got for this one. Thanks for watching. Want to stay up to date on the latest tips and tricks? Don't forget to click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon.